But yeah, so I'm publishing a book. I have a workbook that I put together, and it's called Begin with Myself. It's one season to a new me. The purpose of the book is for people to be able to navigate their own personal trauma in a way that they can be successful in life, so they can set goals for their mental health, physical. There's 7 areas of life that I decided to choose to focus on, as well as the hierarchy of needs and a few other lists, for lack of a better word, that people can refer to on a grand scale. So these are things that we are all subject to. Like, we all have the same needs as human beings, no matter what your race, religion, sex, or creed is, no matter your political stance. We all need food, shelter, water. We all need to be loved. We all need to feel secure. We all need to belong, and we all need to actualize and have a purpose. Otherwise, that's when we fall into depression and really start to suffer from mental illnesses. Because if you don't fulfill all of those natural, innate physical needs, then you won't really be able to have the ability to fulfill your mental needs. So that's really where Begin with Myself started from, me needing to fulfill my own mental needs and knowing that I was I was suffering. And because I was so used to it, because it is the story of my ancestors, because it seemed to be the story of my mom and my dad and everybody in my family, everybody that I knew, the community, and just at the world at large, it just seemed like more people were suffering than not. It wasn't alarming to me. And I also just suffer from the ability, or I shouldn't say suffer from, but I often find myself not being alarmed by things that are alarming. I feel like my own personal traumas desensitized me to um, alarm. Like, I'm just nothing. I'm just really not phased by a lot until it's like absolutely gun at your head. Like, if you don't sign this paper, if you don't pay this money right now, your life is over. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. Why didn't you tell me it was that serious? It's like, first of all, we've been sending you notices and letters and all of this stuff, and you just been kind of doing your own thing. So I know for me personally, I need a tool that is easy for me to digest, that has bullet points. I don't need a lot of jargon. I have enough jargon in my head. I suck up tons of information. So I need some things that are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is what you do in order for this to happen. I need point, 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 point. I need visuals, and I need ease and simplicity. So that's really what I was going for. I knew that people need motivation. I know that quotes are important. I know that scheduling is important, and agenda and routine and all of that type of stuff. But I needed it to be as simple as possible for me and for others. So I started off with just the workbook, Begin with Myself. And initially, it was like 17 pages, I believe. It had the table of contents, which after like 98 edits, I've taken that out. And we just have this here part. See how well this works. This is the beginning. So this is just an outline. How do you use the workbook? Because sometimes I would get an agenda book, or I would get an appointment book or something like that, and then I'd be like, okay, so now what? And it's like, obviously, you write down the things that you have to do, but everybody's brain works different. So I'm like, okay, well, should I make a list, or just how do I do it? How should I do things? And it was just always like a struggle for me. So I decided that whatever type of workbook or anything that I did, I would make a how to guide. So not only do I have this how to for the agenda part, because that's a totally different part altogether on its own. Then you have the actual, like, the workbook. So the questions, the spaces for you to write in, and things like that. And then after that, I created the planning tools, because it's like, okay, so now I have this beautiful agenda book. I have this these questions that are enlightening and that have enlightened me and are causing me to work and go into a new different direction in my life. And this is something that I've been doing for the last 10 years. So it's not some fly by night operation that I just started last year. It's not some workbook that I just put together. This is real things that I've been doing in my own personal life, and I've grown in an exponential amount of ways. And currently my goal is to start changing the way I was affected or impacted when it comes to finances. It's my goal now to change my money story from the one that I learned from my parents and my ancestors and the world at large. So I've gotten the content that is definitely worthy of that. So there's no doubt in my mind that I deserve it or that I'm worth it, because I know I put forth the effort in this content and myself personally and the relationship that I've developed and things like that. So moving forward, the planning tools that I created are a day, a week, a month, and like a year tracker, so that you can set these 7 goals in each of these areas of life and then break them down so that every minute of every day you can pinpoint exactly what you need to be doing. Now, you may not be able to actually do all the things that you want to do every minute of every day. Sorry if that was like frustrating anybody. Sometimes when I watch videos, I'm like, if you don't fix that piece of hair, I'm going to click off because I literally can't stand it. So sorry, I didn't notice that that was hanging off over here. I tried to look at the little camera thing there because it's like I'm looking you in your eye. I'm being all intense. Every once in a while, I look down at myself. But back to what I was saying. These planning tools. And then there's the formula. So you have the planning tools that are going to help you visually see. So we'll start with this. This is the big one. So this is actually a 2 pages of this. And I believe, so you got what appears to be 6 weeks on each page. So you can set out your goals for 6 weeks. And it's just 3 things a day that you would do. Now, those 3 things would also be listed on your daily routine sheet, and that's really where you would get it from. And your daily routine sheet is going to be planned out by the major goal sheet. So you have your major goal, boom. My major goal is to XYZ. So if my major goal is to be making $1,000 a week, then every area of my life, the 7 areas are needing to be aligned with that goal. I've also decided that I'm going to take this into relationships, because I've been totally blessed to be in love. And I also, let me stay focused. So when it comes to the relationship begin with myself, we have decided that we're going to set 7 goals for our relationship, and they were all common goals, and my goals are set in purple, his goals were set in green. But once I got done with the list, I realized that the only things that we had that were like totally individual were our physical goals. So like he wants to do this with his body, and then I want to do this with my body. But as far as reading, we both are going to read 2 books, and then we decided we could read them together. He loves to read. I don't hate it. I just have a hard time like sitting down and picking up a book to read. I'm like, there's a gazillion other things I could be doing, and I can listen to this on audiobook while I do it. So we have decided that we'll read together. Otherwise, one of us won't read at all. I will suck up information. But I think reading is a discipline that I should try, and I don't think I should be trying to say, well, I can just listen to everything on audiobook. I think reading is healthy for people to do. So those are just a couple of the goals that we have as a couple. And that's how it would go. So we would break those goals down and have our own calendar, agenda, workbook really for our relationship. And then I would still have my workbook for myself. The great thing about this workbook, though, is you're not going to have to physically fill out the workbook every 21 days of your life. Apparently, I filled this out a few years ago, and as time goes, I probably could have gotten done a lot quicker had I not been so distracted by certain people and certain things and places in my life, and had I really been encouraged to focus on what I was doing. And because I was so distracted and I wasn't focused, I set the goals, and eventually they were accomplished, and now I just have one more major thing to do as far as my brand goes, and this is really part of it. So I have the all the content that I can't make any more content. There's nothing else that I could possibly make. I even have my speaking engagement proposal. So if someone wants me to come and speak with this, I can do that. I have done session 1, I believe, and perhaps I think even session 2 as a recording for how I would walk through the workshop. I've created the PowerPoint for the workshop. There's literally nothing else that I can possibly do. Someone just has to call me and say, hey, I got $10,000 for you to do this circuit or to come speak at all the schools in my county or whatever the case may be. I am there. I've even got my outfits planned out. Like, I am ready. And I've said "and" a million times. I'm a master. I'm in Toastmasters. So at our meetings, they keep track of things like that, which helps people to be mindful of the words that they use as fillers. Now, they're not really obsessive about it. If you aren't obsessive about it, they do understand that there are times when ands and ums and pauses are part of the way someone really communicates. Like, that's really your speech pattern, as opposed to you're nervous or you're unprepared, because sometimes that's what it translates as. If you're always umming and ahhing and hemming and hawing through the presentation or whatever it is that you're saying, it's almost like you weren't prepared. You have no idea what you're talking about. As opposed to if someone says, what's your name? My name is Charlotte Roos. It's not like, my name is Charlotte Roos. You know your name. So that's why I try to be more hyper mindful of my ums, ahs, and ands. So if throughout my recordings you hear me like, I said that wrong, it's not because I'm obsessive compulsive. It's just that I'm in training to be a more fluent and competent communicator. That's actually the path that I'm taking in Toastmasters. And if you're not in Toastmasters, you should join. If you live in Lockport, you should join our club. And if you live anywhere in the world, join Toastmasters. It's definitely going to change your life. And the people are really cool. Like, everybody's really, really cool at Toastmasters, at least as far as I know. So that's begin with myself. That's begin with me. That's how it's helped me out throughout my life, where I am, where it's going. The next set of videos are going to be me breaking down, talking about the workbook, and then I will do the 21 topics of change. And then I will do a series on the planning tools. So all of this is the whole workbook in conclusion. So again, the workbooks comes with the workbook, the planning tools, and the 21 topics of change. So we're attacking all levels of deeply emotional experiences, and that's really all trauma is. Like, trauma is, it sounds so bad because it's traumatic, but really it's just a deeply emotional experience. And once I found that out, I said, perhaps then what I should be trying to do is take all my deeply emotional experiences and recreating them with new deeply emotional experiences that are good emotions. So leaving toxic relationships, getting in good relationships, leaving jobs and stuff that I don't like, doing things that I do like, even if it looks ridiculous, even if it looks crazy, even if to the outside world, some people are like, I would never do that. I would, because it works for my life and it brings me peace, and I'm good at it. And I'd rather do things that I'm good at and that I'm confident in and that I'm appreciated for than just trying to go after something that gives me a title where people disrespect me. I don't get paid for it, or I don't get paid enough for the foolishness that they got me going through. Yeah. So yeah, that's begin with me in a nutshell. So like, it's the product, the service, and me as a person. Begin with myself started with me as Ishmael, just myself. And now I want everybody to know that they have the potential to begin with themselves, even if they do got 4 kids and whatever else going on. Thanks for listening.